Hello and welcome to the Really Big Podcast featuring me, Seb Gran, and...
me, Ollie Johnson, and yet again, there's only two of us.
Sam's took a bit of a sabbatical. I hope that he's learnt quite a lot on his journey. Anyway, are you ready for some news? I know that I'm not.
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Will you ever be more ready than you are?
No, probably not.
Alright, let's go ahead with it then. There's something I found interesting. Apparently, a 91-year-old woman robbed a bank after she failed to be elected mayor of the town.
What?
Yeah, she was 91 years old and she robbed a bank.
Wow. Wow, that's...
Apparently she stole £200,000.
What, and she got away with it?
Oh, no. She got away with it? How would this be reported if she got away with it?
Well, I mean, what, she managed to steal the money?
Yes, I think she got caught after. That's why it's a story now.
Yeah.
I mean, how would I know unless it was an inside job?
Did you have a hand in this, Seb?
Maybe.
An old woman robbing a bank. I mean, that's just awesome on so many levels.
Get down, you little...
Get down, you young whippersnappers!
I got this pistol in 1932!
Do old people still use the term whippersnapper?
I don't know. Did they snap whips?
I don't know.
Right then, a bit more news for you. Apparently, there's no easy way to say this. A man was rushed into hospital because he had an eel lodged up his bottom. Well, that brings up more questions than it answers, doesn't it?
How did it get there? For what?
That's a good question.
I mean, where was this?
I've heard of bottom feeders, but that's just ridiculous.
But where was the hospital? Do you know? Was it?
I think it was Australia.
Oh, that explains.
This is international news. That explains it.
Well,
are you saying something about people from Australia?
That makes it a bit easier to believe because Australian wildlife is like I don't know a word for it. They have worms, earthworms that are like 3 foot long and glow in the dark.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, so Australian wildlife. It's perfectly believable that an eel would find its way into a man's rectum with or without assistance.
I mean, I'm a bit prejudiced against invertebrates. I think they all look weird, and the world would be better without them.
Invertebrate?
Things that don't have spines. Most beetles and insects are fine. You know, they're not doing anyone any harm. They look relatively normal. At least they've got legs and eyes. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about worms and jellyfish and those weird fuckers that you find in the sea.
Yeah. Anything reptilian or insectoid in any way, I find a bit...
Reptiles are alright. They're like us.
I don't like snakes.
Well, snakes are just like us without legs.
Well, then I should get on with them like a house on fire, but...
Yeah, you should, shouldn't you? You should appreciate what they have to go through in life.
I'm not exactly the same as a snake.
Alright, a bit more news. Maybe we'll get on to this rant about invertebrates later. Apparently, scientists have found out how to stop sperm swimming.
Well, okay, I suppose that'd be good for contraception purposes, but, we've already got enough methods of that.
Yeah, well, a good way to stop sperm swimming is to pee in the pool. That way, they won't be allowed in. Anyway, on that note, I've got a few clips for you. They're much shorter this week, unfortunately. I couldn't find many songs to go with these. If you weren't around last week, then what we do is we play clips of songs as musical clues towards a headline of the week, and you have to guess what that headline is and what's been happening in the world. Alright, here's the first musical headline of the week.
A deer
from Russia.
So what did you make of that?
A deer from Russia?
Yeah, have you heard about this story?
No.
Apparently there's a hieroglyph on the ground, like the Nazca lines, of a big deer in Russia. They found out it's a few thousand years old.
Wow.
So that's interesting. I mean, I couldn't find a song with hieroglyph in. Maybe Walk Like an Egyptian. Anyway, here's another song for you.
At the beach.
Eye at the beach.
Yes.
Is this about the massive eyeball?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, you seem to know about this. Tell me.
I don't know much about it. All I know is that in California, I think it was California, and a massive eyeball like this, I don't know, the size of a grapefruit.
That's
or
right.
Something washed up on the beach, and nobody knows where it came from. But I think it's obvious Cyclops are real after all.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
one of them happens to have lost his eye, poor sod.
So, anyone who's listening, if you know what any of the songs are, then just post in the comments, just say you know what they are and give us the song, and you can give us the artist if you like. And maybe we'll mention you in a future episode. We have no prizes. So, there's a bit of incentive for you. Okay, let's carry on with this high quality programming. I got me thinking, you know how you read science magazines or, I don't know, science books?
I don't.
Well, you did at school, but anyway, you know how there's talking about the Milky Way galaxy?
Yeah.
And there's always a picture of the Milky Way.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, if we're in the Milky Way, then how did they take that picture?
I don't know.
I mean, is this just, I don't know, a Photoshop picture? Or is it taking a picture of another galaxy and trying to pass it off as the Milky Way? If so, then I want my money back.
You want your money back?
Yeah, it's a lie. It's all a lie. And for that matter, what the hell is Winnie the Pooh?
What?
I mean, Winnie the Pooh. What is a poo? Is it a species of bear? Is it a title like Jabba the Hutt? Is it a job description? I don't know, like John the Baptist? What is Winnie the Pooh? I want to know. My childhood is this one unanswered riddle.
I actually don't know where the origin of the name comes from.
And who would call themselves the Pooh? I mean, may as well call himself Winnie the Shit. Okay, Ollie, I think you've got some stories for me this week, because you've got a fascinating childhood. You've lived a completely different life from everyone else on this planet. You really have. Okay, you were telling me about this time you were at a wedding and you had a bit of a misconception about confetti.
Well, it wasn't a misconception, it was sort of a joke, but I think it was last year, the year before maybe. We'd all filed into the church, as you do, sat on the pews.
You filed? Don't you mean rolled?
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Sat in the pews, priest got up, and people had boxes of confetti, and the priest said, well, I'm sure you could all find something to throw at them, so I picked up a Bible.
Oh.
I didn't actually throw the Bible at them, I was tempted.
Ollie, have you ever got into a fight with anyone?
Only once that I can remember, only once that was
I mean, a
actually
physical fight.
Yeah, I know, only once that I remember. Was on a school trip. It was one of those where you spend a week at some place. This was around year 8, so it would have been, 12, 13? At the time, I'd just started hanging around with Sam quite a bit.
Yeah, from a show.
And, yes, people in my class were 12 and 13, and if a guy spends all his time with specifically one other guy, therefore they must be homos. Well, I don't know if they actually believed that, but, they sort of insisted on it in front of me constantly to try and wind me up. And, normally I'm quite a tolerant guy for people.
Well, unless you talk about people of other faiths, other skin colours, other walks of life.
Well, yeah, apart from them, obviously.
Yeah.
But, normally I can just sort of ignore them, but when it happens for a solid week with people who sleep in the same room as you, and bunk beds, Seb, bunk beds.
So not like luxury
kind of
double beds.
It was a youth hostel sort of thing.
That doesn't make it much better.
No, I suppose it doesn't, does it? But,
was it like the hostel from the movie Hostel?
That wasn't the only thing to piss me off that week. At one point, after shower time...
Oh! No. I mean, didn't you give him a bit of ammunition?
Well, no. obviously you've got to take off your clothes to shower, otherwise...
Oh yeah, it does help. Well done.
Yeah. And I get out...
Isn't he a genius?
Now, obviously, because I'm on my knees, I tend to take a long time in the shower. I don't want to, be at an unfortunate eye level at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I waited for everyone to have left before I got out of the shower.
What, everyone in the shower? Was it like one of those prison showers?
Well, it felt like that.
You better bend over and pick that up, Ollie.
But when I got out to get my clothes, I noticed my clothes weren't there.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And the room where all my clothes were, which apparently they'd taken back to, was across a hallway with constantly people walking up and down. Obviously, I wasn't inclined to go crawling across that hallway naked.
Although that would have been hilarious.
It would have been, but not to me at the time.
Yeah.
And basically, one of the supervisors came to
He did it.
No, he didn't do it. I don't know who did it. To this day, I don't know who did it. But one of the supervisors came to get me like half an hour later because I was like half an hour late for dinner. And he'd left his food and let it gone cold and no one had started because I wasn't there. And, well, obviously he was understandably upset. But, he seemed to think it was because I'd been daydreaming for half an hour, and that sort of pissed me off. Not half as much as the fact that he kept bringing it up when we went back 3 years later. I mean, I
just
was
labouring on it.
Yeah, I was this close to screaming, "Jesus, Paul, let it go!"
Anyway, the fight.
Yeah, the fight. It was with well, there was only one black kid in the class, and it's it probably doesn't look good that the fight was with him. For some reason, everyone seemed to follow him because he was quite outspoken.
What, was his name Malcolm X by any chance?
No. I got a bit angry eventually. This was towards the end of the week where he'd worn down my defences quite a bit. And, well, I resorted to a racist comment.
Oh my god.
Well,
did you say what I think you said?
I said the N-word. Well, sort of said the N-word.
Sort of? How can you sort of say the N-word? It's like kind of slaughtering the Jews. Or...
Well, I'd only ever seen the word written at the time, so I mispronounced it.
Right.
Yeah, I said nigger.
What did he say?
He just went, "That's racist." And
nice observation there.
In my hot-headedness, I said, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?" Because obviously I didn't even know I'd mispronounced it at the time.
Did you even know it was a racist word?
I gathered that it was racist.
Oh, so you weren't going around calling white people that?
No. I ran into this guy, and he just sort of comes up to me, and that thing where they stand within an inch of you.
Oh, I think
I didn't know what he was doing at the time, so I thought, "Can I help you?" And he just sucker punched me in the gut and ran off.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Now, I was on my knees at the time anyway.
You got tangoed.
Yeah. And, I don't know, about a minute later he comes back and he wants a fight, because, we alluded to it earlier and he'd chosen then to sort of call me in on it, or call me out on it. And, well, obviously I think since he got away with sucker punching me in the gut, he was feeling a bit brave.
Yeah.
He threw a punch again. I just grabbed his arm, pulled him to the floor. He went, "Shit!" And then he went towards the bin and picked up the lid.
Like Captain America?
Yeah, just like that bit in Captain America in the alley.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and he started trying to hit me with it, and,
What, did you pick up a snooker cue and start using it as a sword?
If there was one there, I might have done. But yeah, that was a fight I got into, sort of.
Funny you mention about, mispronunciation and not understanding the meaning of the swear word. I mean, I sort of had a similar thing, where I knew what the word pervert was. I heard it before in one of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Jingle All the Way.
Yeah,
but I didn't know what it meant. I thought it was just a random, ordinary insult, like plonker or pillock.
Just a general term of abuse.
Yeah, sort of. Anyway, I was in the car with my grandma. We sort of got cut off by this really bad driver, almost crashed into us, and I shouted out the window, "Pervert!" And my grandma said, "What makes you think he's a pervert?" And I said, "Well, he nearly crashed into us." But then she explained what pervert really meant. But it's a good thing I didn't call anyone else a pervert. It's a good thing I wasn't calling any of the teachers perverts. You know, otherwise I could have caused a lot more trouble than I intended.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that would have been awkward. Speaking of perverts, that leads me to the time when my mum explained to me what a paedophile was. Because I was talking to a friend on the internet quite a lot.
Oh, was he in his 40s from California, quite overweight, handlebar moustache?
No. But I gathered that's what my parents were inclined to think. She started explaining to me about these people who lie about who they are on the internet, and, you know, who are paedophiles. And she used the word paedophile. I forgot the word paedophile, and when I went to her with the term later, I said orthopedians.
That's hilarious.
I mean, I thought paedophile was like paediatrician. I thought it was a job. I thought that
I work at the hospital. I work as a paedophile.
I thought that some really shady character was paying these people to do what they did.
That's awful.
Yeah, well...
That's awful.
I know it is, but that's the way I sort of pictured it at the time. I mean, I'm worried about the fact that I was picturing it at all.
Alright, let's go to our main guy, our main guest of the week, Professor Lyric.
Our main man, as it were.
Yes, Professor Lyric. Hello. Today, I will take a glimpse into the world of Afro Man, who warns us of the dangers inherent to high altitudes in his song, Because I Got High. He starts out his song by referring to his living area being untidy due to his being high. So we must assume that his altitude would be much higher than that of his home, as he is unable to reach his broom, which must be thousands of feet below him. He refers to his elevation inhibiting him from going to class and passing his exams, perhaps giving us a clue to his altitude. I propose the possibility that the child was on a class field trip to a local airport and got lost and ended up on a flight out of the country, leaving him unable to attend the class or tidy up his house. He also refers to his inability to go to work, which is odd considering his enrolment in a local school, perhaps hinting to the child living in a third world country where children of such age would be required to work to support the household, such as the People's Republic of China, for example. He refers to selling dope, which cannot be true, as dope is a slang term for moron or half-wit. Therefore, I must assume that Afro Man has appalling grammar and that he was selling an unknown product to somebody who he was condescending enough to refer to as a dope. Afro Man, if you are listening, use apostrophes, alright? He also claims that the higher altitude that he is at on board this aircraft caused him to become paraplegic. Perhaps a glib remark about blood pressure and the swelling of his feet and ankles, a common problem of air travel that has left me on many occasions in great discomfort. My final comment on this song is that it may be a good thing that this youngster ended up on a plane out of the country, as it prevented him from eating somebody's pussy, which would be a terrible case of animal cruelty and a violation of the law. I find this take on underage labour, lost children, and a lack of social mobility triggered by accidental aviation frankly bizarre and nonsensical. Back to the studio.
Wow, thank you, Professor Lyric. That's
it's
not at all missing the point.
I always thought that song was about drugs, but I was clearly wrong.
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
That's all we have time for this week. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Good week.